Hey, this is Vu, and today I'm going to be answering 3 questions for my questions series. The first 2 are going to be about long A on Dust2, in particular taking long against an opera stationed on plat when you only have rifles, and holding long A on CT side. The third question is going to be about my holding mid on cash video, where someone asked the question, why do I play heavily towards A and not heavily towards B? And actually multiple people asked that question. So for the first question, taking up long A when there's an opera stationed on plat when you don't know how to smoke cross. And my honest answer to this one is learn how to smoke cross. And there are about a million ways to throw a smoke cross. However, I'll show you this one. I line up the pole just like that, aim up from here until the top of the wall, and run throw as this starts to leave my screen. It's actually very simple, and it'll land very consistently in this general area here with no real gap on the right side and a very tiny gap on this side if thrown correctly. Now, if your team is trying to 4 or 5 man force long, I would highly recommend throwing 2 smokes. You can throw that one, plus you can strafe out and throw another one, or you can bank it off the wall, however you feel like throwing it, just so you make sure there are no gaps whatsoever in any smoke thrown. Then once you throw those smokes, you can throw a flash over right here, strafe out, throw a flash over this wall, and just force up onto A plat. What that does, the first one forces someone back from this general angle, and the second one forces him back even further, blinds anybody on elevator, blinds anybody holding this angle. It's actually a very solid flash to throw, and if you throw that and run right up, you should be able to take A plat more often than not. The only thing I would recommend is making sure you have someone in pit holding an angle, or actually you can just have him playing anti-flash in case someone flashes through that smoke and tries to push out on you guys, so you can make sure you're safe from that. Now, some people might have the question, how do you take long A dealing with an opper while you have an op? So I'll answer that one as well. Now, generally, a CT opper is going to be holding an angle like this if he's holding any angle looking towards plat, like this, or he's going to be holding an angle like this. So what you want to do is force him back from this angle into this angle and then deal with him like that. So what I'll do is you can do 2 things. First, you can throw a flash, and then with that flash you jump into pit, or you can throw a smoke on the corner here and jump into pit with that smoke covering. So first, I'll explain with the flash. Once you throw the flash, all you have to do is crouch down over here, unpeak when you're pre-aimed. The reason I don't say strafe across is because I just said the CT opera is usually going to be posted waiting for you to strafe across. So if you actually crouch down and uncrouch, usually he's going to have to adjust his crosshair slightly, and that can give you a good advantage to grab that kill. Now, with the smoke, you can actually do the same thing, or with that smoke, you can have a player get in pit, make sure he can't strafe wide on you, just making sure you can't get shot in a weird way from someone trying to get to car, and then you can jump up on the back ledge here and peek right around like this. And no CTs are really going to be expecting that, because generally what they're going to be doing is either peeking towards pit around the side, or looking towards plat like this, or something like that. So you've got a huge advantage, nobody really expects it, and it's a pretty easy kill. Now this actually kind of ties into the TSM long take that I made a video about earlier, or a few weeks ago, is you throw these 2 smokes, you throw a few flashes over, and basically what you do is you isolate the pit area, and then you take out long, and you can have an opper peek on the back ledge onto A plat fairly easily to take all of long control. It's actually very effective in general. Now the second question, holding long A as a CT when you only have a rifle. Now this person was concerned that the terrorist can often beat you to the corner and really kind of shut you down fairly easily. So I'll show you a very simple, very effective way to deal with that I've found. Now this doesn't really work as well if your team has an op. If your team has an op, what I would recommend is 2 people coming up here with a third player on this corner, just throw a flash like that so that they can get around the corner. So what you do is just wait a few seconds, let their players post up, and then peek out around the corner and catch them as they're in the open. Now, if you don't have an opper, all you have to do, come around the corner, throw a smoke like this, and then as you run up, right click into the smoke and cross into pit. It's just as simple as that. What'll happen is their players will see that smoke, try and strafe wide, get completely blind, and actually you can turn around after that flash goes out and usually pick up a kill if they're trying to force out long, and then you end up in pit. And now while you are kind of isolated, your player around here, your second player long, can still throw flashes for you and try and peek out around that smoke, and you're in pit, which is definitely a fairly solid area. You can throw your own flashes and all of that. That's how I've played long quite a few times before, and while it does have its faults in that it kind of isolates you in pit, it is generally the most effective way to ensure you're going to get into pit. Now, for the third question. So the third question was about why I play heavily towards A and not B on cache. And the first thing to note is that you have a player in vents, so you are actually kind of stacked towards B a little bit. And not only that, optimally you also have a player in Z, which is actually a shorter rotate to B than to A as well. So you are actually fairly stacked towards B. But the reason in general you only send one player towards B is because there's only one angle they can come from. And not only that, it's actually very easy to smoke and hold solo. So generally all you want to do, come around this corner, throw a smoke like that, which is going to block off all of B main, and then it's fairly easy to hold from there. I've actually seen several teams have an opper in here back like this. This is something that Titan and Fnatic have both done that I've seen. They hold this angle and you have a player in vents. So this player gets picks with the op, falls back, holds this angle, player in vents supports, and you have a very good crossfire on checkers while giving up sight. However, normally you're going to be playing a rifler in sight. So all you have to do, throw that smoke. You can play a player right here waiting for them to flash through and then peek out, or you can play a player towards headshot or really anywhere to look at this one singular angle and deal with it. Now, once that smoke does go out, you are in a weird scenario, but the B player can just crouch down, uncrouch, crouch down, uncrouch to try and catch someone off guard, and he will almost always be able to get at least one frag. And if their team tries to execute, all you have to do is throw a Molotov like that, and you can kind of delay them, or you can throw it correctly and actually stop them from crossing checkers so that your player can come out vents. So actually B is where it's a little bit easier to delay them than A, where there are multiple entrances. And not only that, in the pro scene, you'll see a lot of teams have adopted this setup. I've seen Titan actually was the first team I saw do this with Kenny S and Apex in A main, and they put Maniac towards Squeaky. And what they did was they just forced this A player out. It's very, very simple. They forced that A player into a bad position. And what would they do? They would either throw a flash to force him back, or they would often throw this smoke. So you crouch down, make the box look like this, and then right click at this middle dot right here, like that. And then Kenny S would come right back up here, jump up, and use this as a one-way to clear quad. And then you would peek out, clear this, and all of a sudden, if nobody is peeking this angle, the CTs are getting no information on A main. So if the CTs are peeking, they can get the kill. It's actually very easy to get the kill on the CTs peeking in these general angles. And if the CTs aren't peeking, all Titan did was they would either creep a player out and try and find a pick and get him into a great spot, or they would get very pushed up, throw fairly easy smokes, because you can throw them from right here. You can smoke off Speedway, Quad, you can smoke Molotov into the back of sight, Molotov everything, at the same time, and then immediately execute out. Whereas if their team is peeking and you're just doing a normal A take, you have to throw the smokes from back here and send a lot of players out squeaky. But, like I said, if they're not peeking, you throw it from right here, easy execution on A, you'll take A site, and although A is easier to retake than B in general, it's still really hard to retake when you have long rotates, the bomb's already planted, and you have no information earlier, especially if the the Ts can plant right here by having an A main player post up on truck or flashes or something like that. So, while it is a little bit easier, to retake A, it's not worth the fact that a good team will take A basically every single try if you don't have support at A. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.